DreAllDay.com.
What's up, everybody? Dre Baldwin, DreAllDay.com. Round 2. We are into the second round of the NBA playoffs. Well, somewhat. I'm recording this Friday evening. This is Friday, what's today? May 1st. So I know the Clippers-Spurs series will probably be over by the time you see this video. So I'm making a preview for each series as they come up. Since there's only 4 second round series, I don't think that'd be too difficult for me to do. And a lot of you said y'all like to see me make previews of each series, so we're going to get right into it. The first series that I'm going to address is the one that starts first, and I believe that is I know that is the Memphis Grizzlies against the Golden State Warriors in the second round. Now, as far as this series goes, first let's talk about the first round. The Warriors, they beat the Pelicans in the first round, that Game 3 comeback where they just were down by 20 points going into the fourth quarter, I believe, or late in the third quarter, whatever it was. Then they came back, tied the game at the end of regulation when Stephen Curry, of course, hit that big three-pointer in the corner. And, you know, some people were asking about what did I think should have been a foul, because the NBA the next day said it should have been a foul, but who cares? In the end, all that matters is what actually happened in the game, not what they said should have happened, what did happen. And what did happen is they went into overtime and the Warriors beat them. I think that three-pointer just kind of demoralized the Pelicans, being that they don't have a lot of playoff experience as a group. Having him hit that shot and send the game to overtime and it looked like they were going to win, it had to be very demoralizing for them mentally. And that kind of took them out of the game, and the Warriors went and took that. And, of course, they went on to sweep the series. It was funny looking at that play because I didn't actually stay up to watch that game because it was late on the East Coast. But I saw the picture when Steph Curry first released that shot over an outstretched Anthony Davis, how the fans in the crowd were all looking like hands on their heads, like, oh no, because they knew he was going to make that shot. And it's one thing that I talk about on a side note when I talk about belief. When you have strong enough belief in yourself, you can transfer that belief to other people, even when they don't want to believe it. Because those were Pelicans fans, right? They wanted him to miss the shot, but they knew that he was going to make that shot, even though they didn't want him to make it. They knew he was going to, and of course he did. Anyway, so the Warriors are looking great in the first round. I thought the Pelicans might be able to take a game or two just on the strength of Anthony Davis, but that didn't happen. So the Warriors are well rested and ready to go. The Memphis Grizzlies, they won in 5 games. They only lost that 1 game in Portland. Then they went and took out the Portland Trailblazers, who were without Wesley Matthews. I think that was a big loss for them. I didn't think Matthews was that big of a loss for them. I didn't think he was, but now looking back, I think that he actually was. Not having him really hurt their team. But I also did pick Memphis to win that series. I thought it would go 7, but it ended up only going 5. Memphis pretty much dispatched them pretty easily, to say the least. As far as Portland goes, I didn't think LaMarcus Aldridge was on his way out of Portland, but the more I read and consider it, I think he might actually leave the Portland Trailblazers. And, of course, a lot of people are saying he'll go to Texas because he's from Houston. I mean, he's from Dallas, I think. He's from somewhere in Texas, whatever. Don't fact check me on that. The Mavericks, of course, are going to offer him money. The Spurs that'd be very interesting if he went to San Antonio. And maybe Houston, I don't think so, but maybe Houston also. So we'll see what happens with that. But now let's talk about the teams that are in. So we got Memphis against Golden State. Now, Memphis with Mike Conley hurt. He had some type of lower extremity injury going into the first round of the playoffs, but I guess he pretty much got over that. He was playing fine, and now he got some injuries to his face. So he's not going to play probably, I don't think, in Game 1. And Beno Udrih stepped up and played actually very well. I think it was either Game 1 or Game 2 of that series, and he just kept hitting mid-range jump shots on Portland. He was killing them for a good stretch of that game. So I think Beno can step in and play. The question is not always the question of, a lot of times when you look at a basketball team, when the starter goes out, the guy who steps in, that second string guy, usually is pretty capable because the second string guy is used to playing a lot because he comes in for the starter. Is the guy behind him. That's where you run into trouble. So now Memphis will still be pretty good with their starting 5, even with Beno replacing Mike Conley. Is the guy who comes in behind him. That guy doesn't usually play that much. Now he's going to be asked to play a whole lot in that second string role in the playoffs in a higher pressure, higher stakes game. That's where they might run into trouble with their bench. So it's going to be interesting to see. I don't even know who that will be from Memphis. I didn't watch them that much to even know who their next guy in the rotation is. So that'll be the interesting thing. But I do think that Memphis is this is not going to be no cakewalk series for either team. I think Memphis can Of course, battle inside. They got those two bruising bigs and Marc Gasol and Zach Randolph, two guys that don't jump very high, but they two big burly guys who use their size. They don't mind banging bodies down low, and they play very well together. And they got a tough defensive team with those two guys, of course, Gasol being Defensive Player of the Year last season, Tony Allen, of course. And they got some firepower. Courtney Lee is another great defensive player. They got some firepower with Vince Carter. I can't even remember everybody else who's on that team, so don't get mad at me. I can't even remember their whole roster, but they have a very good team. Memphis is going to compete. Golden State, of course, we pretty much know their story. Stephen Curry will probably, I think, receive the MVP award sometime in this series, probably before Game 2. I think that's usually when it happens. Looking at this series overall, Memphis, they have one advantage I think Golden State has is Draymond Green. If they can play him at the 4, he can draw Zebo or Mark out of the paint because one of them will have to guard him. If they're both in a game, one of them has to guard him, and Draymond Green can adequately make three-pointers. One of them's going to have to come out there to take that three-point shot away from him, or at least try to, and Draymond can put the ball on the floor from outside the three-point arc. So I think that'll give them an advantage of opening up the floor, which is something Golden State does great because they got these great shooters, the Splash Brothers, Clay and Steph Curry. My prediction for this series, I want to hedge my bet a little bit here, but I ain't going to do that. But I will say before I get my full prediction, that is if Mike Conley can be back by Game 2 or later, or if Memphis can win Game 1 or Game 2 without Mike Conley, I think the Memphis Grizzlies can win this series. I think the Grizzlies can win this series in 7 games if they can win Game 1 or 2 without Conley, or Conley comes back no later than Game 2. But overall, my overall prediction for this, Golden State has home court. Memphis 1-5, Golden State 1 in the sweep. I'm going to pick, I got to go Golden State. I'm going to go Golden State Warriors win this series in 7 games. Goes Game 7. Golden State wins it at home to close out the series and send their team to the Western Conference Finals. That is my pick for this series. Let me know what you think. Agree, disagree. Leave it down there in the comments, and I'm going to give you our previews of all the other series coming up in the second round. Work on your game. DreAllDay.com. Checking out this video. Make sure you follow all my top content up here. Follow me on all your favorite social networks right over here. And make sure you are subscribed to catch all the new content I put on this channel every single day. Work on your game.